All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews. We're back with more of our Road to Avengers Endgame MCU movie reviews, where we're reviewing all the MCU movies in order that they were released. And we are finally up to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, directed by James Gunn. And full spoilers if you have not seen this movie yet. You know, when I first saw this movie, I really loved it. And I still really, really like it. And I do think that both Guardians movies are some of the best sci-fi series of stories going right now, between Guardians 1 and 2. I think that in a lot of ways, Guardians 1 and 2 is a better story than... I'm not going to go into that. I'm not about to cross that line with some people. But needless to say, I think it, in a lot of ways, at least story-wise, it's better than a very popular series that is out right now. But from the very beginning of this movie, I just love it. I mean, I know this movie is basically one big special effect, but if you're going to be one big special effect, you got to be good. You know, it's got to look good, and the world's got to feel real, and even if you know everything in it is fake. And they do accomplish that here. I love the way this movie looks. As far as the story goes, I mean, at the beginning we get that really great scene of, and showing again how good the de-aging can be with Kurt Russell here, who looks, I don't think he's ever looked that good though. That's the only thing, is, I mean, he's a handsome dude. He was, you know, and in his prime, he was a good looking guy. I think he looks better. It's like, oh God, like a glamour shot. Like, he's a walking, breathing glamour shot in this beginning. And it's nice and sweet, but it just, as soon as you realize that it's like an insidious thing going on, it turns into like an Outer Limits moment, you know, or a Twilight Zone moment, where the thing that he wants to grow is actually taking over the whole, you know, the planet. And then you don't realize at the time, but it's like everywhere. And it's going to take over everything. Jumping right into also like this big beginning opening where we get reintroduced to everybody, you know, getting everybody's quirks out. I love this opening, this whole montage of them fighting this thing over the songs, which again, the songs in this movie are on point, and he somehow always picks a song that fits in an odd way, you know, songs that you wouldn't expect to be in a movie like this, which is mostly like 70s and early 80s like pop and stuff. A lot of this stuff, man, I mean, I've heard, but I still don't know who sings a lot of these songs. There is a guy out there that reviews things. He's become kind of a medium-sized big deal, and he really hated this movie. He said it had a real mean streak to it. I shouldn't say he hated it, but he really was disappointed in it, and he said this movie had a really big mean streak. Yeah, has he ever... People that say shit like that, I don't think understand the Guardians of the Galaxy. There was somebody else talking recently about tiers of nerd, and there's like 3 tiers, and this guy definitely like falls into that tier of somebody who fundamentally probably doesn't understand the source material, and that's fine. It's just when you're trying to sell, when you say you don't like a movie because it's got a mean streak, the characters are all got a mean streak, and you don't understand that that's how they are. Yeah, that's just how the Guardians of the Galaxy are. If you read any of their comics, they are constantly giving each other shit. In this, though, it does, you know, Rocket gets the biggest, like, chip on his shoulder. He's got a lot of problems, like, things are almost going too well, and he just keeps, like, he's got to sabotage things. And I hope that in, like, the 3rd movie, we can dive more into Rocket. Even, you know, he was a big part of this. He had a really good arc in this, figuring out like what's wrong with him and bonding with Yondu. But I don't know where they're going to go, what direction they're going to go, but I feel like we've already covered both Quill's parents, so it's time to give the fucking movie to somebody else. Because I mean, Quill needs, hopefully after the snap gets reversed in Endgame or whatever happens, however they put things right. I hope that frickin' Peter Quill grows up. And he wasn't the only problem in Infinity War, but like his decision making in these movies, he's still not grown as a character in my opinion. He's had some things happen and explain about his like lineage and his life and things like that, but it hasn't really affected his overall character. And so, while I like Chris Pratt in this role and he has like a lot of fun lines to say, there's not much to say about his character. So, if you're gonna have a problem with things, talk about that kind of stuff. Mean streak, give me a break. Ego is Kurt Russell is perfect as Ego, but the problem with Ego is he's just a big exposition dump. All he is really doing throughout this entire movie is explaining his plan. There's nothing really, there's no real fight. You know what I mean? He's just explaining like, hi, I'm your dad, and guess what? I'm going to be expanding all this all over the universe, and nobody else knows this but you, and we're going to make everything me, because his name is Ego, so yeah, ding, 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 right on the nose, he wants to make everything him. Even though, I mean, it's one of those things where you get to the end of the universe and it's just you. That would be so fucking boring. And I know that, like, I guess because he's Ego, right? That he could never get enough of himself. What would that be like? Is that like somebody who's just like the ultimate narcissist? Probably. I think that'd be about right. Fucking Donald Trump or something like that would be a giant eat planet of itself bitching. A big orange planet with tiny hands. But anyway, sorry. Didn't mean to get political there for a second. Or, I don't know, parody. But yeah, he goes perfect in this. And I mean, it's just unfortunate that Kurt Russell gets to just be explaining himself through the whole movie. He's giving you a great performance and you're not really giving him much of a story other than, in the end, he's just another guy trying to take things over. And he doesn't see himself as a villain because honestly, he's so big, he doesn't think about us. Like he's been around for millions of fucking years. So it's like, taking things over is just another few million years, and then maybe who knows what'll change. Somebody else will come and mess around with things. So we can be mad at him all we want, but like he's really just kind of doing what he's supposed to do as Ego. I feel like, I mean, he's got a point. He's looking for purpose. And if you're just this big floating planet out there hanging out for millions and millions of years, just out there. Eventually you're going to want to figure, get some like other like planets. And basically if you already know that you're your own best friend because you've been stuck with yourself for millions of years, maybe you would become that egocentric and just want to hang out with yourself. A bunch of planets just flying or floating around talking to each other. And would it become like a universe of Ricks? Like the planet of Ricks on Rick and Morty? Would this just be like oh god, I'm way overthinking this. Drax, somebody complaining about how Drax was just being so mean to Mantis, and it's just like, oh my god, it's the character, man. It's the character. And if you don't like the running gag, you don't have to like it. But don't stop calling it like what it isn't. These weird creatures and all over this universe in this series, they just don't think all like us. So to him, he's not being mean. Don't you understand? See, if it was being mean, actually being mean, and not just honest, and not understanding the difference. Because that's what it is. He's so literal that he just can't help himself. So it's not being mean. Even at the end when he says, you're beautiful on the inside, he couldn't not be honest. He had to just So it's not mean. Jesus, I need to let that go though. Um, the scenes, like all the cool action scenes with like Rocket in the woods, and like the whole scene where he's zapping everybody with his magic arrow or whatever the hell it is. All done really really well with always with good music accompanying it. The Gold People, the Sovereign. I mean, come on, this movie's fucking nuts. Like these people that just they're so full of themselves and they would never risk their lives, and they even when they fight they're in drones. Which hey, come on, if you got the technology and the money, who wouldn't just do that? Why would anybody, want to actually go to war physically when you could just fly a drone over there and I don't know. But those Gold People, man, that was just like that. Just takes the cake. And normally I would give them shit for making them look like Star Trek villains because it's just some gold, paint, everything just gold. You paint a bunch of shit gold and put it on them. But it gets a pass because it's funny. And let's see, what else we got? Nebula's character arc. I think rewatching this makes me realize how big a part I think Nebula is really going to play in Avengers Endgame. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we get, spoiler alert for the books, that she gets her hand on an Infinity Gauntlet. And it becomes Thanos and everybody else versus her. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a version of that. Because I think they say that like Thanos isn't the big threat in this, or maybe I'm thinking of Game of fucking Thrones. I don't know, but I think both could be true. What else do we got in here? Baby Groot's cute. When she has that fucking gun on the back of her shoulder, how like every time one of these movies come out, I just go, oh my god, like I know I had to wait till I was in my 30s for these movies to start coming out, but we get to live in the time where the greatest movie series of all time is being like laid out before us. And even if this series ends, we'll have like so many movies to just go on when you plan to rewatch all these movies. Think of how much fun you're gonna have, even during the bad ones where you're just like, oh, just power through it and laugh and make fun of it and enjoy the entire journey. I know that's not what this is about, but that's what these things, like watching this, making all these reviews over the past few weeks is really just, puts things into perspective when you watch them like this. Yandu's sacrifice was good, but again, see, what I really wanted then was for growth from Peter, but we didn't get it. We didn't really get it. Just another thing that he suffers, and then he just goes right back to being him. And so, I don't know. I mean, and it didn't, and like I said, in Infinity War, nothing had changed, even though time goes by. And even though I believe in the actual timeline, that's going on, that Guardians 1 and 2 take place pretty close to each other, and in chronological order, they're actually before a lot of shit. Like Guardians takes place before Civil War, and I want to say even Age of Ultron. But I'm not 100% sure on that. I know it's before, both of these movies are before Civil War, apparently. Gamora, though, and Nebula, I hope that we get more of them in the next movie as well. Depending on what happens with Gamora and all that stuff. And Nebula, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, we could be looking at a whole new group of Guardians of the Galaxy right now. Maybe forming a new team, depending on the events of Endgame and how they play out. Which is kind of funny because right now, the Guardians of the Galaxy comic book just got a new team together. And in the book, Gamora's not there. Rocket is missing. Drax is dead. And Quill has Groot, Cosmic Ghost Rider, Moondragon, and her friend, partner, other superhero that I can't remember who she is because, God, it had been forever since I'd seen these two characters. And somebody else, and it's I'm blanking. But we could be looking at a new team, but I doubt it. I mean, I don't think I think Volume 3 might be the last of the current class of Guardians of the Galaxy, but I do think that they could easily keep it open for a whole new group, which is one of the fun things about the Guardians of the Galaxy, is you have a rotating group of people coming in and out all the time. Like Venom was a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Most recently, Ant-Man was part of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So we got some really cool things that could come out of future movies. And tons of cool stories with like the Nova Corps and things like that. And just even bigger, you know, cosmic shit that goes on, to put it bluntly. But anyway, I mean, I guess I don't really have anything else to say. I mean, they beat him. And again, like the villain in this is, I do think that people are right if they say he's weak. It doesn't mean that Kurt Russell is weak in this. He is having a blast, but yeah, I mean, he is probably the most powerful, one of the most powerful characters ever put to screen if you think about it. Think about all the, and if you, God and angels and demons don't count. Okay, let's put that, I mean, well, I guess then ego wouldn't count either. But put to screen as a main character, Ego has to be one of the most powerful characters ever put on screen, I think. Like in main character, like I said again, like, or, you know, the main protagonist or antagonist, that kind of thing. But yeah, I think that's about it. If there's anything else that I forgot and you want to talk about it, put it in the comment section. It's been a long night. It's about 11:30 at night, and it took forever to get this done because this is a long movie. And I honestly was looking at my clock a lot, like going, oh my God, like this third act just keeps going. Kind of like this review. So you know what? I think that'd be a good cue to stop and say, if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. And yep, next will be Spider-Man Homecoming. And then we're Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, and then we're at Avengers Endgame. So I didn't miss anything in there, did I? No, I don't think I did. So yeah, and actually there are a few movies in there, so I better get rolling and get to Spider-Man Homecoming in like the next couple of days. So anyway, this is Robert Smirking Gun Review saying thanks for watching this video if you chose to watch this far. And thanks for all the support, the continued support, all that. Have a great night. See you later. Bye.